Hey guys, and welcome back to another Unfiltered Gamer board game review. And today's game up on the tabletop is 21 Bluff by Playview Games. This is a 2 to 4 game, takes roughly about 30 to 45 minutes to play based on how many rounds you'd like to play in the game, and it's for ages 12 and up. Basically, 21 Bluff is the classic game of 21 that you'll find pretty much anywhere at any poker or casino area that you can go ahead and imagine. It's the game where you're basically going to get a number of cards trying to hit to 21. Don't go over 21 because if you do, you bust. And that's the same way that this game works. You're going to be getting 2 cards in hand, and then you're going to decide to double or split if you can, or if not, you will just draw until you can hit 21, or as close as possible without going over, and then each player will do the same. When you're playing with 2 players, it's a kind of head-on-head match where you each are trying to get to 21 as high as you can, and the winning hand is the player gets the most points. And if you're playing like a 1v3 style game with 4 players, it's all of them versus the dealer. The dealer will get passed every single round, and based on the number of rounds you play, whoever has the most points is the winner. We'll talk about how to set the game up, how to play, and of course, my review. Setting up the game 21 Bluff is quite simple, and the way it works is based on the number of players that are playing the game is how many decks are going to be used. If I'm playing a 2-player game, just use 2 of any color deck. All the decks are the same with the same number of cards. With a 4-player game, each player is going to get a singular deck, and they're going to then shuffle that deck. So I'll just take yellow here, and I will shuffle the yellow deck. Now in the rules, you can do this or not, it doesn't really matter, but you can pass your deck to the left after shuffling, so that each player will get a different deck. It's kind of like cutting a deck of cards so that nobody can stack their own deck. Then you have 2 of these, I call them player, they're the buttons. So you can choose one of them, you'll use this to determine who the player is that is kind of starting the rounds off, as well as the player who's going to be playing against the other players when you're playing with multiple players. But this button's going to be passed from round to round to determine who starts the game. From there, you're going to have this little score sheet, and you'll write down each player's name in the top of the score sheet, and each of the columns here will determine your points for all the rounds. There's 21 total rounds you can play, but you can designate how many rounds you'd like to play. I would suggest 21. Play all the way through down to the bottom, add up the points, and see who wins. Once the decks are shuffled, the button has been played out, and you've gone ahead and given everybody a name on each column. Each player is going to then draw 2 cards to start off their hand. And then, well, that's all you need for this game. So here we have the setup for 4 players of the game 21 Bluff. Everybody has 2 cards. The dealer button is in front of me, and I am playing as yellow. And I have these cards, and I'm going to look at my cards here. In the game 21 Bluff, it's a little different than the regular game of 21. In the game of 21, each player is going to be given a number of cards, starting with 2 obviously, from a deck of playing cards. Ace, and then you have your face cards, King, Queen, and Jack. And then there are your numbered cards, 10 through 2. And basically, every card is the value shown. 10 through 2 is just simply whatever the card is. If it's a 10, it's 10 points. If it's a 2, it's 2 points, and anywhere in between. Face cards, King, Queen, and Jack, are worth 10 points. So, as you can guess, the majority of your cards are going to be worth 10 points. And finally, you have the Ace. The Ace is actually worth either 1 or 11, and you can actually decide. If it's beneficial for you to be 11, it's 11. If it's beneficial for you to be 1, then you can choose to have it be worth 1 point. And in that same fashion for 21 Bluff is the same ways, this game and that game are the same as far as how those work. But in the game 21 Bluff, there are actually 52 different power cards associated with this game. Power cards reference the unique cards in this game comparatively to a regular deck of 52 cards. There are going to be cards like -1, and as you can guess, that card is worth -1 point. Or an auto split, which is either if you've already split, its value is 1. Otherwise, it's going to do a special thing. It'll let you actually split your hand, drawing a new card and basically playing out a hand, 2 sets of cards. -0, there's the ability to auto double, which allows you to double the value of the points for the round, aka your bet is doubled. And I think there's a few other ones. You have like different zeros and the other little numbers in here. Oh, and there's also the 21 card. If you draw this card, it's an auto 21. Some cards take priority over others. So you can get these fancy power cards in your hand, and you'll have to play them accordingly. All right, so let's talk about gameplay. So we've all drawn our 2 cards, and I'm going to hide these cards from other players. In my hand, however, I'll just show you guys, why not? It's a 5 and a 2, which means my total value is 3, and I need to get to as close to 21 as possible. Everybody else is going to also look at their hands secretively, so I don't actually get to see, but for the sake of clarity, we'll just reveal these cards. This player has a 6 and a 3, which is 9. Then we have a Jack and an 8, which is 18, very close, and that's probably where that player would stay in almost every circumstance. And then here we have a 5 and a 4, which is 9. So if they hit a 10, that's 19. They definitely want to hit on their turn. So what I'm going to do on my turn is I can choose to either double or auto split if I'm able. To auto split, I have to have 2 of the same card or an auto split card. I don't have either of those. And in order to double, I have to have a double card. If I have a double card, it will be making my hand worth double value, and in fact, it makes all hands worth double value. But I don't have that either. So we're basically going to be playing a regular game of Bluff 21, or 21 Bluff. And I'm going to keep these cards secret, and I'm going to draw from my deck until I wish to stop. So it is a push your luck style game. I'll draw a card, that's a 3, and I've got my 3 in hand, that makes a total of 6. So I'll keep going. I could choose to stop if I want to, but I'm going to guess most players are going to get at least over 10 unless they bust. So I'm just going to keep going. So I got 6, another 3, wow, that is 9 there. I'll keep going. And then a 9. So 9 and 9 is 18. That's a pretty strong hand, so I will stay. So I'm going to leave these just as they are. The next player is then going to go ahead and take their turn. They have 9, so they'll flip. They got a bust card. That means they instantly bust. They'll take these cards and put them into their discard pile. And then this player over here has got 18. 18 is a pretty solid number, but they are playing against me. What do they see? They see a 9 and they see 2 3s. So that is going to be 15. So they know they have at least more than me here, but what do I have here? They don't know. Best to stay, could bust on the next card, not worth chancing it, so blue is going to be in at 18. And then red here has 9, hoping for a 10. Going to hope for a ace, or going to hope for one of the face cards. It's a jack. That is great. That's 19 points. In which case, we're now going to reveal. And players are going to be playing against my hand. So I here, as you know, I have my 5, and that's 3 so it's 3, 3, and 3, which is 9, plus 9 is 18. So I have my 18 versus 18, which is generally a push. Tie goes to the dealer. And then here is 19, which means they win. So I'm going to take the scoring out, and you will follow the rules on how to score. Basically, this one here says in a 4-player example, the player who has the button has an 18, earning 3 points because they beat players 2 and 4. Player 2 busted, which gets 0, just like this player here. Player 3 has 21 points, beats the person with a button, which is me, so they would score a point, just like the player who has 19 when I had 18. And player 4 doubled with 17 and earned 0 because they got lower. In this case here, we both are pushing, so I'll score 1 point, but I do not get any more points other than just the one person here. However, this player has beaten me, so they will get a point. So under each player's name, we'll put that yellow gets a point, green gets nothing, blue gets nothing, and red scores a point. Then we will discard the cards that we played into our discard piles, which is anywhere next to your deck, and we will begin another round of play. And once again, we'll go ahead and move the button to the next player, which means it's not going to be green. They're going to draw their cards. Blue will draw their 2 cards. And so will red, and then of course I will as well. But now I'm competing against the green player. And if you know that you're the player who has the button, you have to make sure that you don't try and go overly crazy, because if you bust, then everybody else is going to basically win or get points. This player's got an ace and a 0, which means that's 11 points. So we know for a fact this player's going to hit. So they're going to go ahead and hit, and they get a 6. That's an interesting choice. We have an ace, which is 1 or it's 11, and the 6 is worth 6 points. So this can either be a hand of 17 or it's a hand of 7. I'm going to push. It's a soft 17. There's a 21. That's what we like to see. Everybody else is going to go ahead and reveal. There's 2 kings. They could have split. And we have a 13 here, and we have a 4 here. It's an auto 21. I think auto 21s just simply win. I'll look it in before I finish my review here, but I'm pretty certain that this player just instantly wins with a 21. In fact, I can even look it up here. Auto 21 just makes 21 become the hand value. Okay, so basically, this player is going to keep 20. This player will go ahead and shoot for the stars. That's 13, 14, 15, 16. Just needs to get to 21, so he has to draw again. That's a bust. And then I obviously will just have to hit as well. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 8 and a 4 is 12. With a 3 is 15. And then I'm going to bust 21. is going to win versus the 2 kings at 20. So this player beat me and red and blue, scoring themselves 3 points. And everybody discards, and then the button is going to move. And then we're simply going to go and rinse and repeat and keep playing the game. And you're going to just chart down your score for each and every single round as you go through, with the player having the button being the player to face off against everybody else, and having the option to hopefully double down, or hopefully double their value and score, or just instantly hit that 21. Just beware of those bus cards that can pop up along the way. Now, there you go. That's the game Bluff 21. Let's go ahead and cover my review. We'll talk about some more of the different cards and some unique circumstances, but I think you get a basic idea for the game. When playing just 2 players, you're going head to head and just focusing on each other's hands. Whoever has the higher hand is the winner over 21, or at 21 or less. And if you go over 21, you bust, and the other player just simply wins the game, and just pass the button back and forth. There's a more simplistic version of the game, so I thought I'd try and cover the more multiplayer version of the game. All right, review time. So just before we get into my review here, I wanted to cover a few unique and interesting circumstances that can happen in the game. There's the auto split, and there is the auto doubler. These 2 cards, which are a little bit more intricate, and they have some rules and regulations as to how you're going to play them on the little rule book here. So if I was green and I drew this auto doubler and a 7, and blue drew an 8 and drew a jack, then he's got 18 and I have 7 with the ability to auto double. So I can play this card, I'm playing with the button, and that will let me auto double the value of points. So now instead of being worth 1 point for this hand, the hand is worth 2. And I can play a card out, and now I have a hand, and we're just playing worth double points. But actually what's really cool is that player 2 has the option to choose to reject you playing that auto doubler. Maybe they think their hand is not very good and they don't think they're going to win, so they don't want to lose 2 points as opposed to 1. So they can choose to say, you know what, I see you play that auto doubler, I'm going to pass, and I don't want to play. And so I would just simply win 1 point. And if they accept, then I have the opportunity of scoring some more points. And so do they. The hand is worth an extra points. That's extra points now. So I have a queen and a 7, 17. They're worth 18. We don't know what each other's cards are. 17 is a fairly strong number. If I feel like they have higher for any reason whatsoever, I can try and pull. And I might get something like a -1, pushing me back even further. Or a 0. Doing nothing at all, and then get a 3. Okay, 16, that's 19. I like that. They'll reveal they have an 18. Well, they're gonna go ahead and they can choose to stay as well. So they would only know these 3 cards, whereas I would only know nothing right now. So they could choose to pull as well, but they're probably gonna bust. They busted. They pulled this card, so they would likely just reveal, and they have their 18, and I got my 19. The problem is in this game you don't know what the first 2 cards are in a player's hand, so you don't know if you really think you should hit or not. It's kind of based on, is the number 16 or higher? For the most of you that just kind of have an idea of jet blackjack, the idea is 16 or higher is probably somewhere you might want to stay, depending on if it's a hard or a soft 16. A soft 16 is that it's involving an ace. A hard 16 means that it's a queen and a 6. There's no getting around it. You have to play a 16. So this hand would be worth double points, and I would simply score 2 points, and we would go ahead and discard our cards, and then we go to the next round, which in this case here, I pulled an auto split and an 8. And they could have a king and a king. Wow, that's wonderful. In which case, I'll play the auto split. They're feeling pretty feisty as well, so they'll let that happen. And I will draw a 6 and split these up. And then they would split their hands up, and which happens now, because they could have also chosen to not play this, and they can say, you know what, I'm going to reject that and just allow you to score a point. But in this case, of course, they're going to accept. And then we're going to get more cards. We're splitting the hand up, and we're revealing new cards, in which case it would be the same for them as well. And how this one works is the highest hand from one player to the highest hand of another, and the lowest hand versus the lowest hand, in which case we would see how that goes, and each hand is still worth a singular point. And players are also able to the second player is also able to choose to double or split after I've chosen to double or split. So there's a little bit of a combo thing that can happen in the game. And so each of these games switches it up with their unique little combat action cards. The ability to auto split or auto double, the zeros, the automatic busts, the automatic 21s, and then the -1s and 2s, changing your score around. The only complexity of the game, which I'm not super sure on, but it's kind of how we play, and I think it's correct, is the ability, if you go down this kind of flow chart here where it says, I offer to double with my double card, player accepts, in which case the hand is now worth double, and I get that. It's when player 2 decides they would like to double or split as well, and then I can choose to accept or not. I don't know if it's required of them to have the card that says double/split, or if they can just simply do it. It appears to me here that it's just something that you can do, but it also might be just if they have 2 8s, they could choose to, after I've doubled, they can choose to double as well, or split, I should say, or they can choose to just double on top of my double, increasing the bet, basically making it a little bit more easy to kind of counter another player, pushing each other's luck in the game. That's pretty much the most complex aspect to the game, but otherwise it's fairly simple. This game is a game of 21, where it's me versus the other players, and then eventually it'll be you versus the other players, attempting to hit at 21 or lower. Obviously, the closer you get, the better it is. You'll have a chance to actually score and win the game. The cards are very straightforward, easy to read, easy to understand. Cards like, for instance, the auto split or auto double have an ace value, meaning it's 1 or 11, and you get to decide when you draw it or if you're not going to double down. So there is kind of a power to these cards on top of, it's like a strength to this card on top of the ability to kind of utilize them as a power. So it's really nice. It's kind of like a little twist to the game. I'm not just playing 21 here in 2 players. This is actually going to be a little bit more fun than that, in my opinion. Unless you're in Vegas and you're winning and you're counting cards or something like that, and you're playing with 1 deck, this is the way to go, because now you have unique actions that you can take place in the game that pushes your luck a little more and forces your opponent to decide whether they'd like to push their luck as well. The back of the cards say 21 Bluff. I kind of wish they were more poker style, in which they had 21 on one side, top left, and on the bottom right-hand side, it was 21 but flipped, so that way the cards can be rotated in any way, shape, or form, just like this side of the cards has kind of a flip to them. I wish that the front did as well. It's a minor gripe, minor complaint, but being a poker game, I thought it'd be kind of cool, so that way you don't have to rearrange the deck over and over again. But otherwise, easy to read, good graphic design, high quality, easy to tell the cards' differentiations apart. You have the button, the blue button here, and you also have the white one. You can choose to use either or, it doesn't really matter. I was wondering why you had 2, but my guess is just so that you could use one of them, and you can choose which color you'd like to use. Comes with a pencil, which is nice. Some of these games don't. It's always nice to have one to leave in the box, and it comes with a large stack of these 21 score sheets. And the fact that you can play as much as you want, play up to 21 rounds and score at the end, or play to 20 and score on 21, it's really up to you based on how long you want the game state to go. And the rules being simple, and players who understand the basic idea of 21 will understand the basic idea of 21 Bluff. So yes, this is a 21 style poker game with added effects and bonuses that change the game a little bit, mix it up for 2 players, make it very interesting with combinations that can happen with more than 2 players, but still has that kind of retro style and feel to the game, and players who already have an idea of how it works, they're going to be able to easily jump into this game. This is definitely a family style card game. It's a game that's going to be a great gateway game for the game 21, and you'll be able to learn and understand the differentiation between what a hard 16 or a soft 16 is, or whether or not you want to do a hit when you have a 7, depending on what you think the other opponents have, or a 15, or that kind of thing. Knowing that you also have additional cards in the deck that have some wild circumstances that can happen is kind of a nice little twist as well, and with a beautiful style quality to it, with a box really nice, with an additional sleeve, spots for the insert, which is also nice, magnetic box that has a spot for everything here, and each of the decks having their own little deck box so you can put everything back. The rule book here is solid and it makes sense. You can go through and read the rules. It gives you kind of examples of splitting and doubling, and then what happens on kind of this little tree here, as well as the standard hand value and rules. Just kind of wish it cleared up more of the second portion of it, where it talks about the second player being able to split on a split or double on a split. But otherwise it works really well. Overall, a really solid, straightforward kind of 21 style poker, casino night, family friendly game with unique mechanics and aspects to it that change the way the game works and adds a little bit more fun and levity to the game of 21. Are you guys ready to 21 and Bluff? If so, there's going to be a link down below and you can take a look at the game. Overall, a solid, fun game if this is something you're looking for. Thank you guys for watching another Unfiltered Gamer board game review for the game 21 Bluff by Playview. If you're interested in picking up this title, there's a link down below in the description where you can go ahead and grab this family-friendly party poker game. You can also go ahead and if you'd like, and you think we've earned it, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button. If in fact I do hit 21 here, you're forced to do it. That's a 9 and an ace. That's 20. I'm strongly suggesting that you do so. You can also go ahead and check out our live streams at 6:30 p.m. PST on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And we have a Whatnot on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. PST, as opposed to Sunday, where we show off games, talk about games, and sell games. All right, guys, that's all I got for you this time. And as always, I look forward to hitting 21 and or bluffing you next time.